Hello, and welcome to Over Here, Over There, your podcast across borders.
And we're here for a special episode to talk about our theme song that we've been using because it's dear to our hearts, and we want to, explain more about it and why it's important to us. And we're here with members of the band, the Pleasure Bombs. Roll the music. Yes. Well, we're very fortunate, and it's a family affair because besides being, it has to be one of my favorite, if not my favorite song, 10%. It was done by the Pleasure Bombs, which has two members of my family, two brothers, the lead singer and vocalist Charles Harris, and the producer Andrew Harris. And we were just thrilled when they allowed us to use the song for our intro, and we'll play it after this episode in full for you, so you can have the pleasure listening to it too. But we want to talk about what it means, but we want to know more about the band. So Claudia, over to you.
Well, a hearty welcome, Andrew and Charlie. It is absolutely a delight and pleasure to meet you. Your song, your music has inspired our podcast and has played such an important part in our podcast. And it is such a significant one, especially for this time we're all living in, because we are a political podcast as well. So explain it a little bit more. How did the band come together? It was founded in the 90s, I believe?
Yeah, the Pleasure Bombs was founded in the aftermath of the fall of the wall in Berlin. It was myself, Chris Mantle. We met in the bar scene there in Berlin and started writing songs together. And then we added Christian Kohler as our drummer. And basically we just started writing right there in Berlin, meeting and eventually performing.
And what year was that, Charlie?
Like 1992.
Right. So just a year or two after the Berlin Wall.
Yeah.
Okay. And in that era, just what were the musical influences that helped shape your band?
Well, Berlin was kind of known for punk music, but everything really changed, and after the fall of the wall, grunge was happening at the time, coming over to Berlin. Hip-hop was happening. The start of techno music was starting. So as a pop band, we were kind of unusual, actually, in that setting.
And how did it come that you wrote a political song like Increase Democracy by 10%? Was that in any way shaped by the atmosphere that was around in the 90s, especially with the wall coming down? Or was that actually written earlier?
Well, Berlin was a very, very obviously political city. In the aftermath of the wall falling, everything was disrupted. East went to west, west went to east. That's kind of an over here, over there type of relationship. And so, initially we wanted to do pop music, and we were open to politicizing things too. And so, 10% popped out in one of our sessions, just sitting around thinking about what we'd want to say.
And what was the culture like in Berlin at that time? Did it have a feel of liberation or what? Because you were on the top of the wall when it came down.
Yeah. I was there in '89, and then fast forward 2 or 3 years after hanging out in the bar scene and stuff, I started meeting musicians, and then I just decided to give it a whirl and be the lead singer of this band.
Yeah. So, Andrew, what were as the producer, what were the challenges of producing and making the 10%?
Well, we were lucky at the time that 24-bit technology had just come out on the market, and we were using the recording software Pro Tools to record the band. So that was very helpful because it put us at a different level of technology where we could do it in my home studio. We also did some recording at places like Fort Apache in Boston, to get the live feel of most of the songs and get the band kind of grooving together. But a lot of it was done at the home studio, and that had its challenges where, for example, in 10%, the background vocals they didn't sing together to do that. They tracked separately. And they were very, very talented Berkeley students, great musicians.
Berkeley, California.
So, no, Berkeley and Boston.
Oh, Berkeley and Boston.
But yeah,
okay.
Which is one of the most famous music schools going. You basically have to be really, really good to get into Berkeley. They have about an 87% rejection rate.
Yeah.
So you're good if you're there. So we had talent. We had a lot of talent. And they sang well, and then we used some sophisticated software to make the vocals seem even more silky smooth together. Yeah. And that was brand new technology back when we were doing the recording.
So yes, and they availed themselves of your skills and expertise to make it happen. And
well, besides being a producer, I'm an engineer, and I at the time was teaching people about engineering with the software that we were using. So I was an expert at that. Yeah.
And the sound still is top-notch, I think. So that was a good job you did.
Yeah, I think it's holding up to the test of time.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Speaking of the test of time, how do you see the lyrics today? Because democracy is under threat. So is increasing it by 10% enough?
Well, it certainly would help. Of course, the song was written in the 90s, and in that Berlin context, very political context or politicized context. And it's just kind of interesting to see over the course of time that I listen to it today, and it seems still as politically relevant and has that pop groove and even the individual lines I think people relate to. So yeah. In Berlin at the time, it was kind of like an anthem in the bars, and when we performed, with the "Can you increase democracy by 10%?" People got into it, and I guess it's important to point out too. We started in West Berlin, then we moved over and started doing concerts over in East Berlin, actually organizing our own. We were one of the first bands to do that in East Berlin. And then eventually we made a move over to Boston to do the recordings. And then in Boston, that's
Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah, Boston. So we crossed the water, went over to the Boston area, and we got asked to perform at the Independent Film and Video Festival in New York, and that kind of just energized us to become a performing band again over in the Northeast.
Absolutely.
And that was the last phase of the Petrol Bombs. We were playing all around New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. Generally speaking, the Northeast.
From both a producer and from a creative point of view, just how did it develop? Did it start with lyrics first, or did it start with the tune first? How did it happen? And then how was it put together, like you mentioned, Andrew?
Well, basically, Chris and Christian and I, we would sit around in a living room and just try different chords and grooves and stuff. And I would record that on cassette. This is very old school style. And then I would go back to my apartment and just lie down on the floor, listen to the grooves, and see what kind of lines seemed to work. And I had that, thinking about and that rhythm. And then I just started dropping lines down, and then I went back with the cassette to the next practice, and we added a chorus to it, which we thought was fun because we weren't saying words. We were going ba ba ba, and
little scat music.
Yeah. So it was very organic kind of songwriting process, and amongst the three of us, that actually brought it all together. It took about maybe 2 weeks.
I heard scat, pop, and rap all in this song together. Is that fair?
Yeah, that is fair. We wanted to do pop music on an offbeat with a groove. And we wanted to do vocals with males and female vocals. And one of the bands that we really loved at the time, which was unknown at the time, was a band called Chumbawamba, which now is a global name. But we went to their concerts and we just loved the show they put on. And they're, the anarchist pop band from, Chumbawamba from England. and we just adored them, and we loved the way they brought it on stage. And so I think that they were a key influence on us at the time.
Yeah. You mentioned about making it, but so it went from that creative process over to you.
The recording was relatively easy because they were talented. And when you have talent, it makes up for a lot of things. There was a little bit of teaching students mic technique and how to get close to the mic and when to take a breath. Charles did a lot of coaching with that, too, to the other singers that are on the project. But there's no substitute for talent. When you have a really good guitar player, a good bass player, they're laying it down, and almost everything that they did was all in one take. It wasn't multiple takes. So that made it really a pleasure to do. It was a pleasure bound.
Well done, well said. That's right.
And how do you feel that it became the theme song of the podcast Over Here, Over There?
I feel totally honored. I feel flattered that a song of ours that we did in the 90s is being used for your program. I mean, it's just really, really an honor. We're thrilled.
Can I ask from a Over Here, Over There perspective, what were the differences between the audiences from what you experienced in Berlin, them shouting, can you increase democracy by 10%, and getting really into it, whether they knew the lyrics, the rest of the lyrics or not, or what, and then what you did in Boston, how in the Northeast?
Well, it was interesting because the band members, when we formed, they insisted we only want to do music in English, but all the band members were German. And so sometimes, I wondered, when we did a concert, whether people really understood our lyrics at all. But with a hook line like, can you increase democracy by 10%? People got that. And so I knew they understood that. So it was kind of interesting there. And then when we went over to the stateside, I was thinking, wow, everyone's going to understand everything now, And so it was a little bit of a
cultural shift.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely a cultural shift. But the Germans, they if they got a chance to hear it, the thing that changed was that we didn't have recordings. We were just a live performing band in Berlin, and it wasn't until we went to Boston, got it recorded at Andrew's studio and stuff, that we could actually get it out to people so they could read the lyrics and listen to it repeatedly. Yeah.
But it must have meant to Berliners in the early 90s, hearing even that one phrase, can you increase democracy by 10%, that must have been pretty damn meaningful.
Yeah, people got into it. Both East and West Berlin, people got totally into it. Yeah, it was celebratory, at the same time questioning authority.
Yeah. Bit of anarchy here. So, hey.
And a much more relevant question than looking for freedom, actually, from David Hasselhoff. Yes. Swoop over. This is the real thing here.
And, we got to ask the question, got to ask it, is any chance of reunion? I mean, we're talking 25 years, 25. What are the chances of getting the band back together?
Slim. That was it was a long time ago, and
the Stones are still going on.
Yeah.
The band's still in touch with each other, through social media and stuff like that, phone calls and just checking in. Yeah. So, we're aware of the band members to this day and where they are, but they're all doing different things at this point. Okay. So it'd be as Charles said, slim that they chance they get back together.
Well, we appreciated you guys doing it, and I tell you one thing, check out 10%. It is a hot tune. It's still relevant today. We love it. I'll still be playing it years from now. I think you'll feel the same. And check out also other tracks on their album. It's a super CD that they put out, from The Loveliest Weed to Plunge Into the Sea, that's opening tune that they have on the CD. Fantastic. We love it. And I think you will too. So we're going to listen to the song right now. We just want to thank Andrew and Charlie for being here.
If I could just make a mention, it's on Bandcamp.
Thank you very much, Andrew. It's on Bandcamp, and you can buy it. Save the day there. Yes. Save the day. I was about to go off, but anyway, and here you are. You can listen to it. We'll put it on this episode right now, so you can listen to it. But just before we go, don't forget to like and subscribe to Over Here, Over There. We'd really appreciate it. And thank you for listening. And now, 10% coming your way.
Thinking about the money the government's found. Thinking about trying to pay the round. Thinking about the sound of a sweet accent. Thinking about the way the words get bound. Thinking about the things my mother said. Thinking about painting my politics round. Thinking about a song called Fred This Down. Thinking about the gun inside of my head. Can you increase democracy by 10%? Can you increase democracy by 10%? Thinking about a nun in a cool convent. Thinking about the dope that my best friend sounds. Thinking about the hope and where it went. Thinking about the trouble that we just had. Thinking about climbing back into my bed. Thinking about the time when my tie got bled. Thinking about the gun inside of my head. Democracy by 10%. Can you increase democracy by 10%? Can you increase democracy by 10%? That's right. Can you increase democracy by 10%? The things my mother said. Thinking about beating my politics round. Thinking about a song called Fred This Down. Thinking about the gun inside of my head. Boop-a-doop-bip-bip-bip-boom. Boop-a-doop-bip-bip-bip-boom.